What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is going to be 5 ways British and American board games are very different. Now, this is going to be... I don't really know where it's going to go down, to be honest. I know it's going to go down board games, but I don't know whether it's going to go... Our version of Monopoly has different street names and stuff like that, because we've got, like, you got London, you probably got New York base, you probably got Chicago base, you probably got California base, you probably got all over. Or if it's going to be the exact same game, which is advertised the exact same game, you open it up, is different. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting watch. Let's get straight into it, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. I'd seriously appreciate it. Hit that like button as well. You're absolute legends. If you're new to this channel, when I react to a Lost in the Pond video, go and check him out, by the way. He's an awesome creator. Launch is such a great guy from what I've seen. He's another British guy who lives in America. He'll be giving his say on the difference, and then I'll either give him my opinion on it, my reaction on it, and that hopefully I'll be able to back a British guy up. We'll see. Let's get straight into it, guys. And like I said, I'd really appreciate it. Hit that like button.
To this day, I have increasingly dark memories of my brother bankrupting me with hotels on Mayfair, the English version of Boardwalk.
Okay, we've already gone on. We've already touched upon the Monopoly version. It's definitely on about Monopoly. So, and Boardwalk, which I assume is like a New York version. I don't know. We'll see. But that is definitely Monopoly we're talking about. And if you like board games, I forgot to say at the start, let me know in the comments your favourite board game. Mine probably has to be Monopoly, but I do like this really obscure one. I play with my dad sometimes, which is nearly really nasty horse racing game. If you've never played it, honestly, it's worth it. It's an old school game, and it's a great laugh with a family. It's up to 6 players. It's honestly such a good laugh.
I languished in jail.
Monopoly.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to board games. Now, I think we all know what board games are. They're not games that you play when you're bored, although that does help. They are games that you play on a board. And today, I'm going to be talking about some of the ways in which board games differ between Britain and America.
Okay, I'm keen.
Now, on my secret live stream this past Sunday, I had a conversation all about board games with my patrons, some of whom, including Uncle Toby, asked if this includes playing cards. And my answer was that it does not, because playing cards have so many differences that they warrant their own video.
Definitely. I mean, end of the day, it's playing cards. If you're going to play board game, you play board game. If you want to play cards, you play cards. It's a different thing. It's like you want to play video game, it's not board game. Completely different thing, and I imagine there's so many different takes in England of different card games anyway. I imagine the comparison between America and the UK and what's popular potentially is definitely going to be something completely different. I don't know if he's done that video, but if he has, I'll definitely react to it, because I love a good card game as well, and it'd be pretty awesome to maybe learn some new ones and see the differences.
Or 6 of hearts. It's also likely that there are other board games out there that could have made today's list. Today, I'll be focusing on 5, starting with this. Almost 2,000
Snakes and ladders, yeah? Snakes and ladders.
years ago, a board game by the name of Moksha Patam originated in ancient India. It was intended as a morality lesson. As you climb the ladder of success, don't do bad deeds or you'll find yourself sliding down a snake.
Okay.
They've not thought it through, but so long as you persevere and do the right thing, you'll eventually reach the top. And that, in a nutshell, is Moksha Patam, or as it's known in Britain, Snakes and Ladders.
Yep, I love a bit of Snakes and Ladders.
The morality lesson is that it's all entirely governed by the throw of a dice. In other words, success ultimately comes down to pure luck. Nonetheless, Snakes and Ladders is a popular board game marketed not so much to humans, but children.
And yes, I know, I've just said I absolutely love it, and it's a great crack, but you know, there's a child inside of everybody. If you can't sit down and have fun playing a board game of Snakes and Ladders with mates or whatever, then fair enough, I don't have anything else to finish that one, but I personally can, and I will happily will. Any board game, if you've got the right company, anything can be fun.
I should know, it was my favourite board game in 1987 when I was simply too fiscally irresponsible for Monopoly. Imagine my surprise when I first got off the plane in America and realised that there weren't any snakes, both within the game and on the plane. And that's because in the US, Moksha Patam goes by the name Shoots and Ladders. And it turns
out... wow, again, I was meant to stop on my image, but I missed it. But it's actually like slides. It's not even a shoot. I don't even know what a shoot is. What I think of a shoot is what like you see on Friends, where they put it down a garbage thing. Like, they open it up, put it down, it shoots down into the bins. That's what I picture as a shoot, not a slide. Again, it's not much different. One's enclosed, I think, There's not much difference. But again, just a little thing. And no, I'm not going to say who's right, because at the end of the day, whatever you've grown up with, whatever you enjoy, it's the same game basically. It's just a different wording. But what a weird little difference.
This was not always the case. The game
Okay.
initially was marketed as Snakes and Ladders in the US, but American kids apparently didn't like snakes very much, presumably because they'd actually encountered them in real life. So in 1943, 40 years before the company was absorbed by Hasbro, Milton Bradley released Chutes and Ladders, a chute in this case being a kid's slide.
Yeah,
and at
fair
first,
enough.
that seemed more logical. Kids do this in real life, right? Up the ladder, down the slide. But what kind of morality lesson is that? You know,
Exactly.
hey kids, please don't do bad deeds, otherwise you'll have to do your favourite thing ever, which is going down a slide. They'll be setting fire to your rug before you can say Marty McFly. On the other hand, most kids probably don't even pick up on the moral teachings of the game anyway, and even I was today years old when I discovered that Snakes and Ladders originated in ancient India.
And I was today years old as well.
Just like this game. Thousands of years ago, a game emerged in medieval India that would go on to be dubbed the National Game of India. Designed for 2 to 4 players, it involves a cross-shaped board around which players move their pieces in accordance with the throw of not a dice, but shells. The winner is the person who gets all of their pieces to the centre first. The game's name? Pachisi. And you don't have to have been raised in India for this to be familiar. American viewers might know the similar sounding game Parcheesi, a game distributed by Parker Brothers, before it was absorbed into Hasbro. The key differences are that the American game uses dice and, like most modern varieties, also includes home bases. My British compatriots know this game as Ludo, a name patented in England in 1896.
I was thinking Ludo, but it just wouldn't come to my head. And we also get Ludo a lot of the time where the dice is in the middle and you have to press a button down so you never lose your dice. That is a pretty cool one, and it pops the dice up and rolls it. That's like the Ludos I played, not the one launched so there. But he is a bit more old school than me. I had the technology growing up, I guess. I had a little thing protecting the dice. But Ludo's a great game. Definitely, again, I haven't played it in years, but it's a good crack.
Both games are pretty similar to the game Sorry, with just some subtle differences. For visual reference, Sorry, not sorry. That very game was launched in England in the 1920s and distributed by another English company, Waddington's, before it was absorbed into Hasbro. And it was that very company that gave the world our next entry. From Ludo to Cluedo, a chap by the name of Anthony Pratt, or A. Pratt to his end.
Cluedo, okay, I got it. I was reading the who done it, and I was like, what? But I get the reference, who has done it. I get the reference.
Invented the renowned murder mystery game in 1943, coincidentally the same year Chutes and Ladders launched. It could mean that that point in time inherently contains some sort of cosmic significance, almost as if it were the temporal junction point of the entire space-time continuum, sort of like how 1985 was for Christopher Lloyd's career. Anyway, it was launched in the US in 1949 under the name Clue, presumably because Americans weren't familiar with the word Ludo. However, that didn't stop Parker Brothers, before the company was absorbed by Hasbro, from using other European influences to market the game. To let audiences know that, hey, this is for all you detectives out there, they billed it as the great new Sherlock Holmes game.
Oh, wow.
However, casual sleuths quickly observed that his image was neither on the box nor among the playable pieces. You'd think this stuff was elementary. But speaking of pieces, the US version diverged from the original by making slight character name adjustments. Instead of Reverend Green, it was Mr. Green. Instead of Mr. Black, it was Mr. Body. While Miss Scarlet was later spelled with just one T. I
mean, why do they have to change it? There's no issues. I've got no issues. Again, it's not your fault. It's for people who made the games as choice. Like, why just keep it the same characters? Unless it's just they think these names would be more appealing to a different audience. That must be it, right? Because if not, it's like, why change it? Because you could just manufacture the same thing. There's no confusion. You manufacture the same thing, and it's easy. It just seems a lot more complicated to me. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. But it must be because of your target audience. It makes sense to name it them, and it'll just appeal more for whatever reason, surely.
Some versions of the US game, the dagger is a knife, while in old UK versions, the lead pipe is the lead piping. The common denominator here is that in almost every case, America went for the shorter phrase. The same is not true of our next
That makes
entry.
sense. Oh my god, Ad, we'll watch it for Lawrence.
As we've already seen, some...
What's checkers? It's not chess, checkers. It's similar to chess, but it's not. And I think that's where we're going. I love checkers again. But again, that's a little bit more older, not as elementary, but it is kind of like the elementary version of chess.
Board games have been played throughout the world for several millennia. 3,000 years ago at Mesopotamia, people played a board game resembling one still in operation today, drafts. At least that's how I came to know it as an Englishman. Basically, this two-player game involves a board of 8 by 8 squares. The object is to move your pieces diagonally over your opponent's pieces until he or she has no pieces left. And that was not a weird euphemism. It evolved out of the game Alburquerque, a game introduced by Spanish settlers in New Mexico. Today, Americans know it as checkers, or if you're being formal, American checkers.
I have heard the word draft being used before, but I think the game I had called it checkers. I think the box I had called it checkers, so maybe that is what's leaked into both. But I did know it was draft. I think my dad called it drafts and stuff like that. But I knew it was checkers. So maybe I'm more American than I thought.
This is not to be confused with the regional burger joint of the same name, and under no circumstances should you eat the pieces, with or without pickles. But it's also not to be confused with Chinese checkers, which, bonus entry, is spelled differently in Britain and America.
Oh, wow.
In other news, drafts and or checkers is one of the few games over which Hasbro has not formed a monopoly, unlike, you know, this.
Monopoly,
Invented by game designer Lizzie Magie in 1904, a game known as the Landlord's Game would go on to be modified, and some would say outright stolen, to create what we know today as Monopoly. Ironically, despite being the original patent holder, Magie made just $500 on her creation, while Charles Darrow, a man who falsely claimed the idea as his own, became the first millionaire game designer in history.
Oh, that's got to be good. That has got to be good if you're her. But maybe, you know what? She may have just loved it that much she didn't care. She was just happy people enjoyed the game, what she created. You know, money's not everything, guys. As long as you were happy. But I bet she was absolutely good. I bet she was gutted.
You see, that's what happens when bad deeds are rewarded with a go on the slide. Monopoly went on sale in the US in 1935, and as it does today, the board featured streets located in Atlantic City, almost half of which were named after American states. But growing up, this wasn't my experience of the game. You see, before Monopoly was even released in the US, Parker Brothers contacted the newly formed British company Waddington's to offer overseas distribution rights. Impressed with the game, Waddington's upper management believed it would sell better if the American street names were replaced with British ones. And by British, they really meant London. After a scouting trip to England's capital, they settled on streets that adequately reflected the range from poor to affluent.
Yeah, and that is the most standard Monopoly board you'll find, the original, and it's pretty awesome. I love it. I think everyone is, except for the money is definitely off. The money is definitely off it, but it was never billions or millions, I don't think. But I never knew Monopoly was an American thing first. Again, you learn something new every day. I've never thought about it, but I never knew that. Thank you, Lawrence. Again, Lawrence just teaching me, and I love it.
And thus, the British version was born. To this day, I have increasingly dark memories of my brother bankrupting me with hotels on Mayfair, the English version of Boardwalk, while I languished in jail. In the most ironic incident since Barry Manilow's cover version of I Write the Songs, Waddington's and Parker Brothers were both absorbed by Hasbro, who maintain rights to Monopoly on either side of the pond.
Wow.
That's it for this episode. Let me know.
That is the end of the video. Look, go and check Lawrence out if you enjoyed this video. It's an absolute legend. But yeah, Monopoly is one of them. A lot of family arguments. It can get very intense. I'm a very competitive person, which is probably why I like my snakes and ladders no matter what. I have a good time because I'm very competitive and I always want to win. And Monopoly is just one of them. My whole family plays it and everyone gets super competitive. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. Like I said in my previous video, I haven't actually had much sleep the past night, so I apologise if it hasn't been as energetic. And hopefully I will be able to bring you guys 2 videos a day. But if I can't, there is a lot of stuff going on in personal life at the moment, which I'm not going to bore you guys with. But it just don't expect 2 videos at the moment. I'll try my best and hopefully it won't affect you guys. But I just wanted to warn you guys, for the legends who have made it this far, there's definitely a few of you guys. And if you have, put hashtag to the end. There's definitely some legends who have made it through all this waffle. And I seriously appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone, but you guys are the real real legends. I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure you have a fantastic day. Enjoy your night, whatever you're doing. The weekend's almost coming up. I hope you guys are happy, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.